you go. Okay. All right, the time is now 7:52 and the executive session has been concluded. If any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, please state your concerns now for the record. Hearing none, we will resume the regular meeting, and many thanks, Ally, for negotiating all the technological transitions. Okay, we are back on track here with our presentations. Thanks for your patience and flexibility, everyone. So now we have agenda item 8A, presentations from Interstate Parking on a potential city parking permit program. A very percussive sentence.
Hang on, I'm trying to find. There you are. Okay, so we are joined this evening online by Gareth Lloyd, who's a representative of Interstate Parking. Interstate Parking gave a presentation to the Parking Task Force, and since parking is kind of the exploring parking options is the main purpose of the task force, a parking permit program was considered in our 2021 parking assessment. At that point, it was primarily based around the kiosks, which were determined to be too high maintenance and just would require too much effort from the city to police the parking and, you know, maintain the parking kiosks, et cetera. So that idea was set aside. So then Interstate Parking came to our attention and gave us a presentation, like I mentioned, and it is one of a few options that we'll be discussing later. We will not have a discussion this evening. And so I just want to introduce Gareth Lloyd.
How's it going?
Good.
Going great.
Good.
Do you want us to show your slides from our end?
Yes, please.
Okay. Allison, could you get that hooked up?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically we're a locally owned. I'm the owner of Interstate. We're a locally owned company. I live in Evergreen. We operate in Golden, Idaho Springs, Frisco, Dillon, Breckenridge, about 12 different municipalities in Colorado. We've been operating for about 9 years, and we've had a lot of success dealing with communities like yourselves, who are feeling different pressure points on parking. And like when we talked to the task force, we have a pretty lengthy solution that involves a bunch of different technologies, on the street ambassadors, customer service portal, website, pretty much the entire package. I don't know if you've parked in Breckenridge or Idaho Springs or Frisco, but yeah, and we like to listen to the community and see what the pinch points are and then come up with a solution. We always like to say, provide us with a challenge and we'll find a solution. So we've had tremendous success in each one of these communities, doing a lot of community outreach in advance, finding out what the community wants, and then coming back with a solution that meets the needs of the community. So it's very much community based. Every solution is different. What we do in Frisco is very different from what we do in Dillon, and which is also very different from what we do in Idaho Springs. So if you want to just go to the next slide, that'd be great. Yeah, and we really believe in locals helping locals. So this is just a picture of our get together for all of our customer service team on Lake Dillon this summer. So we all got together and just went out on one of the pontoon boats and celebrated our success and got everybody ready for the upcoming ski season. So we always say local people equipped with the best technologies to deliver on the change in behavior you're looking for. So that's just a picture from our party this past summer. Next slide. Yeah. Why do the communities partner with us? The biggest thing, and Dana was just talking about it, is we come in and we do a revenue share. So we take care if you decide to go with kiosks, if you decide to go with QR code payment, if you decide to go with a permit program for residents, a website, all those things, we'll take care of it. You can check out what we've done, with Breck Park, Idaho Springs, etc. And we just say to you, we'll take a percentage of the revenue and we'll handle all of the upfront costs, whether it's kiosk, signage, the website, customer service, ambassadors on the street, etc. And it's really a local partnership, and really stresses the community experience, but we also have the technology experience also, that when you say to us, for example, for snow removal, we want to have the first 2 weeks of the month park on one side of the street, the next 2 weeks park on the other side of the street. We have a permit program that will do that. It's really consumer friendly compliance. Usually we start out with warnings, just to let people know about the program. And then over time, we'll switch to a full violation when you, the community, decide, hey, we've educated the people enough. It's time to give real violations. We do have the ability through our municipal contracts in Colorado to do a full collections process, which can affect credit rating. So it's really the decision of the community, but at some point you just need to have that to affect the change in behavior. Our slogan is Smile, Engage, Help. Our local people realize that the biggest thing is to create a positive reflection on the community. So they'll be on the street doing compliance, but also answering questions about, where's the closest ATM? What's the best restaurant for this type of food? All those kind of things. So that we really stress that our people become part of the community. We like to hire locally, and we've had a lot of success with it. We've created, for example, in Idaho Springs, a lot of the revenue that we've created for the city has been reinvested into projects like sidewalk improvement, snow removal, planners and housing, employee housing, capital projects. The idea is that, from your feedback and how you would like to determine how the program works, we will hopefully generate some revenue that you can reinvest back in the community as you so choose. Generally, what happens is employees and residents have free parking, and we have a program and a technology to accomplish that. And the idea is the visitors will, to the community, will generate the revenue that can be reinvested back in the community. Next slide, please. This just gives you a quick overview of all the things we do. Our technology arm, full service management, like I talked about, 24-hour support, parking ambassadors, no upfront cost, custom branded turnkey salute system. What we like to do is create a brand that shows that we're partners with the city, but also shows that if there's a parking related issue, please come to us. So in Idaho Springs, we're known as Park Idaho Springs. In Breckenridge, we're known as Breck Park. In Frisco, we're known as Park Frisco. So it shows that we're a partner, but also a separate entity, so that when there's a parking related issue, it can come to us. You make all decisions on rates, hours of operation, the experience for user groups, whether it be residents, employees, visitors, etc., and we deliver. And of course, we talked about the compliance, education, and enforcement. Next slide, please. So beyond municipalities, we do a lot of ski resorts. We just were awarded Loveland Airport. So we're pretty varied in all the different things we do. In Breckenridge, we have quite a few private locations that we operate, for example. But municipalities are a big part of our business, and we like to say we're kind of positioned as the locally owned Colorado company. We understand Colorado. We understand the nuances of mud season, of being flexible to create a program that works for you when the demand dictates. For example, in Frisco, we only operate the marina from Memorial Day to Labor Day, because that's when the pinch point is, and then for the rest of the season, it's free parking. Next slide, please. Yeah, this just goes into what I just talked about. Our local presence, you can see all our branding with all the different brands that we have there. Next slide, please. Yeah, and this just gives you more particulars about our experience in Colorado. And we also do the town of Morrison, which is one I didn't mention. So all those are branded separately, as you can see, and it's worked out really, really well. And you're welcome to contact any of our references from those towns and cities. Next slide. This is just an overview of our local team. We're all based here. We all live Colorado. We know the Front Range. We know the ski resorts. We're involved with A-Basin. We're involved with Keystone, Breckenridge Ski Resort, Crested Butte, and Aspen. So have a good understanding of what is Colorado, what is special about Colorado, and how a program works for people in Colorado. Next slide, please. Yeah, the big thing is, I think, that we really pride ourselves on is the Smile, Engage, Help customer service program. We really like to find local people and really like to train them on the importance of being often the first and last impression for the community. And they understand that the reality is we just want to educate people, and we want to get the change in behavior that the city desires. So the people really are the key. And then once we get our great people, we equip them with the best technologies, and we work with you to deliver on the change in behavior you're looking for. Next slide, please. Yeah, this just goes into the custom branded website. One of the cool things we have, if you'll see it on some of our websites, you can see it in the picture there, is map and park. So basically it's a GPS enabled map, where you can, designate all the different locations within the city, such as the high school for parking, for special events, etc. You can put in things like, water stations, public bathrooms. It becomes a real conduit for mobility in the community. And visitors or residents or employees can click on there for all kinds of information. And it will direct you via GPS right to the location you're interested in parking. So that's been a big home run, in all of our communities. The websites, get huge visitation because people realize it's 24/7 information. One of the best things we do is FAQs. So we would do an FAQ for Leadville and try and have everything possible on that website that a customer, whether they be a resident, employee, or visitor, might have a question about. And then it's all supported by our customer service portal. So if you want to get a hold of us, we'll respond next business day to any questions about, the parking experience in the city. Next slide, please. Here's just some examples of our different websites. The nice thing is we've got a ton of experience with this now. So what we would do with you is say, hey, here's, Park Idaho Springs, go through it. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We do this all in-house. So, it's all included in our revenue share. Everything we do is included in our revenue share. So there's no, additional cost for any of this. This is included. And these websites have been tailored to all these different communities, and they just keep getting better and better because we get the inputs from, each user group and each community of the things that they feel like, are important. For example, in the city of Golden, if the 2 parking garages downtown, we update in real time the occupancy of those garages so that people, when we just had the Golden on Goldens, in Golden, people knew to come on the website and they were able to see if there was space in the parking garages. That was important to the community, and that's something we created. Next slide, please. Yeah, this just shows, map and park. That's one thing to really think about. We can, create specific zones within the community, for example, residential only. So if you have a permit, you're registered. We have a really cool online permit process now, and we can walk you through that, with the community. We usually do some meetings, at the visitor center or the community center or town hall, and anybody that needs to sign up. But once you sign up, it's really easy to use. You basically have your own account if you're a resident. And you can do things like, if you have visitors, you can put their license plate in there. Or if you have an Airbnb or short-term rental, and the city decides that you should have free parking or paid parking for your guests, it has the ability to do that, and it's been, extremely successful. Next slide. Yeah, here gets into the online resident and employee permitting. It's all digital. For the most part, most customers go online and they can sign up, but we do believe when we first start the program that, we should have those meetings, in the community just for people to ask questions and help them sign up. But for example, now in the city of Golden, we've got about, close to 10,000 residents using this program now, and it's been extremely successful because it designates who can park on residential streets for residential streets where residents want to protect their parking. And it's really easy to use, and it's been developed over time, and it's extremely effective. Next slide, please. The big thing to really, communicate here is this is community-based solution. Really, it comes down to sitting down with everybody, figuring out what you're looking for, whether it's, flex park, advanced reservations, for example, when you have your big races and whatnot, if you wanted to have those at the high school, we can do that. Validations for businesses. You really come to us, tell us what you think you want to do, and we'll give you a lot of recommendations on our experience. We'll consult with you, give you feedback, let you know what we think will work and won't work. And then over time, the program constantly adjusts as it's, you fix one area of the city and it causes additional demand on parking space in another area. So you can evolve the program. For example, in Idaho Springs, our residential area has grown exponentially. We're now doing the East End because as the program gets the change in behavior you're looking for, it affects other areas. We've done the same thing in Crested Butte. So very flexible. We use a lot of data analytics, looking at the usage of space, what's the optimal use for the space for the community, and we'll come back to you with recommendations, but ultimately you decide on the program. Next slide. One of the big things now is we do have the kiosks. We have solar powered kiosks. We have roughly about 450 of them across the mountains. We have them in California, Vermont, etc. But we're seeing more and more is that people just love to be able to go to a QR code and make their payment. You don't have to download an app. We can put these QR codes throughout the community. 80 to 90% of our business is now via QR code. You can put them in restaurants, you can put them at City Hall, you can put them all anywhere you deem appropriate. But literally you can, if you have Apple Pay or Google Pay, you can literally click on that. And if you've already paid once, people can get it done in 3 to 5 seconds. They don't have to get out of the vehicle when it's a typical cold, not this year, but cold, snowy Colorado day. So extremely easy to use technology and very effective. Next slide, please. Yeah, and it's very easy to use. We used to have apps, and we just found in Colorado communities where cell service isn't the greatest, like Leadville. And also people just don't want to put an app on their phone anymore because it takes up so much space. There's privacy issues. People just love to be able to snap on this QR code, go right to the payment page, make their payment, and away they go. Yeah, here's the kiosks. We can basically install them anywhere. We support them internally. We program them. We do the service. We do the maintenance. We've proven they work every municipality, ski resort, private location we use in Colorado. We've put them through the test, whether it's snow, wind, rain, intense sunlight. They're solar powered. We can literally, if you have a construction project on a street, we can move them with a day's notice. They're very flexible, easy to install for us, and we take care of it all. Whether it's putting paper in for receipts or changing rates or updating programs or credit card reconciliations, we do it all. Next slide, please. We do our compliance is all based on license plate. So whether you're a resident, whether you're an employee, or whether you're just coming to park for the day, you register your license plate. We then have the ability to go around with mobile LPR, check every license plate, and it'll show us, hey, this is a resident, this is an employee, this is somebody that's paid for 2 hours, or this is somebody that hasn't paid at all. So it's a pretty thorough program, extremely effective. And we're up to about 98% compliance now in Colorado because it's backed up by a very good collections process. So our goal always is to have a great website, great signage, great people, great technology, so people behave in the way the community wants them to. Next slide, please. Yeah. So yeah, the compliance, our capabilities are pretty extensive. You can imagine for the city of Golden or the town of Breckenridge, to have programs there. We've been through all the state and federal mandates for private property. We actually have on retainer a consultant because federal and state laws are constantly changing. So it's very important to us, and it takes the liability, the time away from the city, and it puts, the responsibility on us. So every one of our municipalities has turned to us and said, please take care of this for us. Next slide, please. There's a lot of companies now that are trying to operate out of San Francisco, for example, and just put cameras everywhere and try and say, we'll just automate everything. When we recently rebid on Idaho Springs, they were saying, well, just put a camera on the entrance to the city and a camera on the exit. And anybody that doesn't pay or follow the program, we'll just send them a invoice in the mail. Well, you can just imagine if you try to do that in Leadville or you try to do that in Breckenridge, where somebody didn't even know they didn't follow the program, and 4 months later, they get a ticket from a company in San Francisco for $400. Not the best experience you'd want for your community. So we believe because of our local presence, because of our commitment to the community, we've had huge success in delivering a program like we deliver, which is very, very human, very local, very knowledgeable of the community and what the community wants. We just want people to follow the program and move forward and go have a great day skiing or mountain biking or hiking or just enjoying the restaurants in town. Data analytics. As you can imagine, we're getting some pretty good data now on use of space, use by residents, use by visitors, use by employees. So we can really help you look at how do you use each parking space to the best needs of the community. If you want to turn spaces on the main street 7 times, we can do that with our rate structure. And what we see is restaurants love it because, for example, in Idaho Springs, people used to park right in front of the restaurants, and then 7 people would park and and all hop in a van and then go up to A-Basin, for example, and there was no revenue to the community. Now the space is through your rate structure, you can motivate people to park for a couple hours and then drive the rates higher so that you'll get that turn. So the people will say, oh, it's a great deal. For example, in Idaho Springs, it's $5 for 2 hours. But if you stay over that, the rates start to really appreciate so that people are motivated to move on. They're not going to use Main Street, to meet and then grab a van and go mountain biking or go to Cooper or Copper or whatever. So all kinds of stuff that's pretty exciting from a data standpoint that would be available to the city as you so choose. Next slide, please. Yeah, and this just shows, all the data and, all the interesting things we can get into on occupancy, usage, length of stay, turnover, etc. That can be for example, we've had cities looking at doing developments and looking at how much parking they need for a new development. And this data helps them go, okay, actually we can build this building and we don't need to add additional parking. Or yes, if this building is going to be built, we do need to require them to build 150 spaces, etc. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's just more of the same. Next slide. Yeah, and it's just becoming bigger and bigger and more valuable over time. And it's a very gradual process because it takes a while to get the program going. We believe in doing it right, so we don't want to, jump into anything and cause an outcry. So we want to work with the community to ease into the program and find that sweet spot for the change in behavior you're looking for. Next slide. Yeah, and we're big believers on performance metrics. So in our management fee, generally what will happen is if we get rated quarterly or every 6 months by the city based on these kind of things, service levels, technology, signage, management team reporting, website, customer responsiveness, violations. So we really believe that you should have the tools to give us feedback on how we're doing, and our percentage management fee should be affected by that. So we do it in the town of Breckenridge, and we consistently receive a 10 out of 10, but it's a great selling point to the community and a great way for the community to know we're delivering. Next slide, please. This is an example of, escalated friendly compliance. Initially, we might say, oh, you didn't understand the program. Here's a pamphlet with information on the city. Next time, please pay. And here's 10% off at a local restaurant or a free appetizer. We have the ability to do text alerts to remind people if their parking is expiring. We really like never to issue a citation. Unfortunately, there are times or people who don't believe that they have to adhere to the program. But overall, we're getting to that 98% compliance rate. So that's our goal. Yeah, so it's a real commitment to a community first approach. You tell us what you want to do, you tell us what are your pinch points, and we'll work with you to find a solution. And this is just an example of, I know there was some discussions about snow removal, and in Crested Butte, this is a big issue, obviously, with the amount of snow they get there. So we work with them on a program, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for the different sides of the street. And this can all be done through the digital permitting program for residents, employees, Airbnbs, etc. Next slide. With your numerous events, like the bike races, etc., we do a ton of special events. Pretty much everything we do at ski resorts is a special event every day. We do state fairs. We do the largest athletic grounds in Arizona. Ton of experience with customized special event parking. That's all included in the program. So for big races, if we want to have parking at the high school or wherever you so choose, we've got the complete flexibility to do that. Next slide. Yeah, we'll work with you on a strategic roadmap to start the program. The big thing is community engagement, introducing the system, monitoring it once it's operating, and then making recommendations once we get past phase 4 about potential for further programs, and it's all based on occupancy, data analytics, usage, turnover, etc. Next slide, please. This gets into we find over time the programs become, they become more advanced. The communities come to us, say, can you do this? It's a very flexible program. The technology is very adaptable. You can literally say to us, hey, we want to put a kiosk in this block or on this parking lot, and we'll probably have it up within a week. The nice thing behind everything we do is we've got our dedicated support, our Smile Engage Help Customer Care Center. This goes more into your system and the importance of the community. Next slide, please. So that's kind of a quick overview. Basically, I guess the big picture premise is get as much community engagement as possible, and then start to think about what kind of program you would like to put in place, and then put it in place, do it very gradually, give you all the feedback on what works, what doesn't work, and then try and find that sweet spot for the change in behavior you're looking for. It's been a lot of fun. It's pretty amazing, when residents have their parking protected on their streets, employees, have free parking, and you're generating revenue that can be reinvested in the community with no upfront or ongoing cost. I think that's the biggest reason we've been successful across Colorado.
Thanks, Gareth. Thanks for the presentation. Any questions from council members? Okay, I have one question. If would your technology and process accommodate something like if the school district wanted to use their parking lots on big event weekends or something, would it be able to differentiate those lots from others where like maybe that revenue could go to the school district or something?
Yeah, totally. So in Breckenridge, like I said, we have about 25 private entities. And each one of them we have a separate agreement with. So we have an agreement with the city, we have an agreement with the ski resort, and then each of the private entities we have an agreement with. So for example, there's a church in Idaho Springs that I'm just working through with an agreement. So yes, completely scalable, very flexible.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Lori.
Sure. This is Lori Simons. I'm the city administrator. Just a question on the revenue sharing. What is the model on that?
It really comes down to once you let us know what kind of parking rates you'd like, how many spaces. That's really determines what the percentage would be. So it can be anywhere from 50% to the lowest I think we have is 25%. But what we do is we do a financial model based on your parking rates, hours of operation. If you choose like Frisco to only go Memorial Day to Labor Day, obviously that would impact your percentage. So it's really about how much revenue will be generated to cover our costs.
And then who puts in the infrastructure? Do you actually install the pay stations, the signs, all that information?
Yes, yeah, we do all the installation. The kiosks are solar powered, so very easy to install and can literally be moved on a moment's notice.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone in chambers, want to make public comment on the topic or online? Yeah, two of you, okay, let's go with 2 minutes, like a comment limit of 2 minutes, but go ahead and come on up to the, I'm sorry,
I'd like to make a comment also.
okay, great. And before you start, if you would just say your name for the record, please.
My name is Shauna Spike Romero. So I am not a frequent visitor to Idaho Springs. I'd like to be a frequent visitor of Idaho Springs, but the paid parking turns me away. I don't want to stop and go into the shops that I want to because it just takes away from my experience. It's a smaller town, just like we are. And it doesn't feel as welcoming to go there anymore, to have to, okay, well, we need to find a parking spot and now I gotta scan it. And I have 30 minutes to grab an ice cream at the Sit and Chill and go across to meet Daniel at Echoes to maybe buy something in the shop. Do I have time to go look at the soap at the shop next to him? No, I don't, because I don't want to have to keep paying more or have a violation. So we don't stop in Idaho Springs hardly anymore because of the paid parking. I have a concern about how is having paid parking downtown or anywhere else different than the private parking signs that we used to have for residents. We were told that those went away because it was selling city right away. So how is having paid parking any different than those private parking signs that residents used to be able to purchase for right in front of their properties? A lot of our homes are older. They don't have a driveway. We're going to see additional cars being pushed out of the downtown area with paid parking into these residential areas. I live a block and a half off Main Street, and I already battle with people parking where they're blocking my driveway, and then I have to get the city involved to issue a ticket or have it towed. People have to pay parking. They're going to try to find parking that they don't have to pay for. Us residents, especially near downtown, are going to be paying the price on that. Any money that's spent on parking, we're not going to see that in the businesses. I work in a downtown business, and I have so many people tell me, oh, we're just wandering around. We have nothing to get to. We're in no rush. And they hit every single shop. And I tell them, hey, you should check out this shop and this shop and this shop, because they have the time to do so. They're not feeling rushed by a clock on a meter. I mean, I have so many points, but I do want to keep it short for you folks. The kiosks, our downtown walking area, it's a wide sidewalk, but on high traffic times, those kiosks are taking valuable standing space. Ski joring, people are going to have to kind of move around a kiosk now, or any other downtown event that we have is taking up valuable standing space for people who might go into shops and restaurants. If restaurants are really backlogged, they have a lot of people, how are they going to react when my time is up? I don't have time to eat my dinner now. Restaurants are not going to, it's a poor choice for Leadville. And I really hope that the cons are outweighing the pros in their presentation.
Thanks, Charles. If you have points you couldn't fit in, feel free to email us additionally.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Monica Smith and I have Aspen Traders. And the gentleman kept referring to a change of behavior. I really question that. And like, what is our city thinking? You don't want people here very long? I want them here. I want them here as long as they want to be here. I want them to enjoy their vacation. And we're gonna start kicking them out. Is what we want, a high turnover? I don't necessarily want a high turnover. I want people to enjoy my store. I want them to go to Joy's store. I want them to go down the street. I want to tell them where they should eat. I'm the ambassador. I don't need an ambassador. They're ambassador. We're all ambassadors in this town. And, you know, we try to encourage our employees to go into other people's store to see what they have so that we can refer customers. So, his change of behavior sounds, I mean, it sounds like I'm in trouble in school. You need a change of behavior, Monica. And this is not what I think our city should be considering. And, you know, it's when people are on vacation, sometimes, you know, there's a certain, you know, the kids all of a sudden don't want to be in that store anymore. But now they have a new thing. Dad or mom, all of a sudden, we got to go because the parking lot's about to give us a new rate. So I think we need to consider this really carefully. We're still a really tiny town. I think that, I also question the bottom line for Idaho Springs. What are they? What is the kickback they're getting? Can we ask them? Can we talk to their city council? Can we find out how it's really been working for them? He says they've been making all kinds of money. Are we sure about that? Are we really going to be getting money from it? Or are they going to be getting the money? I see that as probably the biggest, I mean, what is their motivation? They're making money off of this. Is our city really going to make money off of this? But the bottom line for me is the customer appreciation that, you know, like Shawless, my employee, said, you know, they love our town. They love our streets. They love our old buildings. They're here to enjoy it. They're on vacation. I don't see big vans pulling up and parking in front of my store and rearranging and coming back, you know, after they've done their hiking. I have never seen that. I'm sorry, that just isn't part of, and I live, right? I'm one of the few people that live on the street too. I live above my shop. And I see what goes on. Time's up.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
that's gonna happen to our customers, don't forget.
Well, it's okay.
My name is James Smith. I'm the owner, co-owner of Aspen Traders. And I'm very strongly opposed to this parking plan. We talk to customers all day long who stop to go to the bathroom, and then they hang out and they come in and they say, well, I felt comfortable shopping because you guys don't have paid parking. It's so nice to be here in Leadville. We're really appreciating it. Our presenter never once discussed shopping. He discussed behavioral changes and getting people to move on. But we really want people to linger in our community. And this is really where we're getting our business. At least half of our people are just kind of people that are driving through. They're going to go across Independence Pass to Aspen, and they happen to stop in Leadville. And because we don't have parking regulations, they're able to go around and shop. I feel like the parking really discourages people from lingering and shopping. Our presenter discussed restaurants, but he never once discussed shopping. And you guys earlier in the session today were talking about how are we going to help our local businesses? How are we going to help increase sales tax revenue? It's going to happen by not discouraging people from stopping, but by encouraging them the way we do to stop in Leadville, to stay around and to move around and shop. So anything that you can do to avoid this parking, I think, is beneficial to our business community downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to make comment?
Hello.
I am.
Ann Zanuck, I own Harper Roads, another business on Main Street. Not too much to add. I am in full agreement with with all of what's been said here. And I just, yeah, there's definitely a place for these, like, they have a great program for cities, towns that this would work for. But I guess my gut is just, Leadville's not there. That's not us. Like, we do want to create a very welcoming vibe, and every day we're talking to people that are doing just that. They're so delighted to come and meander on Main Street. We're telling them exactly, you know, what are you looking to do? What would you know, who would you like to visit, or what kind of shops, or what kind of trails? And we are our own ambassadors for sure. And not sure we need somebody, you know, with the parking. Yeah, I'm not here to say anything or kind of break down what the presenter was saying about the parking. I'm sure their program is great for certain areas. And then I also look to like the towns, BV, Salida, that are closest to us, that are very similar, and why aren't, they're not doing any sort of parking program as far as I know, or have they been presented with this? Have they, are they thinking about this as well? I would just love more conversation, I guess, with those communities. And also I agree, like, just talking to people that have implemented these programs, I would encourage that, to really understand what is the bottom line. And I just don't think, again, there's a lot more learning to be done, but my gut says we want to keep it a nice, warm, welcoming place for people to meander. And we've all been there when we're trying to find parking, and it's paid, and it shucks. And again, yeah, you end up parking in areas that you don't have to pay, and then that creates a whole nother problem. So I just think we need to really think about it as much as we can.
Thanks, Ann.
Yeah.
I do have one quick question, and that is, why doesn't Georgetown have it?
Thank you.
They're bigger than us.
Thank you, yeah. Would anyone else like to make comment? Go ahead, Steve.
Steve Krustash, I live in the city. Well, I guess two thoughts about this. Okay. The revenues that are claimed for Idaho Springs, he specifically focused on that. And he had a kind of a list of civic improvements that benefited from this. Sidewalk repair was one of them. Right now, it seems like we're entering, from what was talked about earlier in the city council meeting, a declining revenue stream from tourism. Essentially, I think is what's going on. And is this going to make that worse or better? And I think it would tend to make it worse, because if people have less money, then they're going to spend less time. The other thing is, in nature, there's certain kinds of parasites. There's one parasite that just takes from the host and ends up being detrimental to the host. There's other parasites that contribute things to the host, but they end up changing the host behavior to facilitate their parasitism. So this is essentially somebody wants to tap into our community to gain revenue, selling us that this is going to make us a benefit, but at the same time, they want us to change behavior. And so that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Anybody else?
I'll speak briefly, Cisco.
Sure, go ahead, Tim.
My name's Tim. I own a business a half a block off of Harrison that employs 35 people right now. And I happen to live a half a block up 8th Street next to a home that is a licensed Airbnb that can accommodate 14 people. So I think I have some personal viewpoint on parking squeeze and good and bad. There's only a few weeks a year that I feel that locals or tourists are pressured to find a place to park on my block, which is the epitome of the squeeze, I believe. So one, is there a problem? Two, I think we could improve the parking that we have. The free parking up 4th Street has some signs now. They're pretty small. It's lit. There's with 2 lights. There's an abandoned car in the corner of it. I don't know if somebody's living there or not, but I wouldn't want to park there if I was driving into Idaho Springs and looking for a safe place to park for a few hours in the evening. So I think there's other ways to go. I agree with what these other folks have said, but there's one that I think that people can think about is that first fall morning or summer morning when you turn the corner and Harrison Avenue has some aspens or some snow on it. It's a beautiful place. It's aesthetically pleasing. Don't ruin that with signs and meters and kiosk. There's no way to do it. It's not just ugly view, it's ugly to the soul. I did it, Vicky and I had a moment last week. We went to Avon to buy some used snow tires, pinching every penny. And we met the woman downtown at the bank behind City Market. I worked over there off and on for 20 years at restaurants and in building and construction. And it is what it is. It's a 90s built community. It's a little bit ugly, but they had some landscaping, a lot of plants, trees. There's QR codes in front of the view corridor when you pull in. It's ugly. It's ugly. That's my point.
All right, anybody else? Anybody online want to make public comment? Okay, well, we sure do appreciate y'all coming out tonight and spending your time learning about this and sharing your perspective with us. And we're not making any decisions tonight. It's just a presentation. So keep your eye on agendas if there are other parking topics. And feel free to email us with more input too, if you have it, and encourage others to as well. And thank you, Mr. Lloyd, for taking the time to present tonight. Any other comments or questions on that before we move along?
Just to address one of the points that was brought up, at a recent meeting, the town manager for Breckenridge brought up just some of their experiences that they've had with the paid parking program. And so I've arranged a phone conference with her tomorrow just to get some of their feedback and insight, just because it was brought up at a recent meeting. So I'm happy to pass any of that along that I obtained. So we are already asking other communities what their experience has been.
I have also talked to several communities prior to the parking task force, in fact. So I do think, like I said, and like Mayor Pro Tem Tharp said, we're not having a discussion tonight, or we're not making a decision. We have a couple other options to think about. And before any decision is made, there'll be a lot more public presentation and consideration. Because I will say that we do hear there's always going to be this friction between residents and businesses. And we've been on the parking task force, we get an earful from the residents. And that a parking permit program is also listed on our coming comprehensive plan. So this is something we are going to have to wrestle with. And this is maybe the first consideration that we have, but there's a lot more to come. So I don't want anybody to think that this matter is anywhere close to closed.
Thank you. Go ahead. Councilman.
Just one more comment on this, and Mr. Code hit on it pretty succinctly. The city owns several parking lots, and we have never, in my tenure, we've never spent any funds on paving or repaving, repair, certainly not on lighting, not on appropriate signage, and certainly not on any type of striping. So I think that's probably, from a parking task force perspective, where we need to start.
That's definitely been considered, Joey. We have talked a lot about improving the signage. We went, and that was the first thing that we considered, is how do we increase the use of our current parking lots? I did get all of our parking lots listed on Google Maps. Not all of them were there. And at the end of last year, got the feedback that they've had over 1,000 hits on Google. So that is underway. At the Leadville Twin Lakes Tourism, they have made or are approving a parking map that it fits with their like the maps that they have on their website. So you'll be seeing that too. And we've even gone so far as to price out larger signs. So it's not that that hasn't been considered. It's that there are multiple conversations happening at the same time that you haven't been present at.
Thanks for the clarification, Mayor.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. That concludes our presentations for the night. Next up, we have agenda item 10A, consideration of the temporary use permits for 2026 ski touring. Mr. Council, thanks for joining us. Should we kick this off with staff? We'll let them start, and then we'll pass the mic to you, Duffy. When we're ready. Okay. Andrew? Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
Hi, thank you, Council. So tonight before you, you have the consideration for a temporary use permit for ski touring. I just want to make sure, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. So if you do want to follow along in your packet, this TUP starts on page 119 of the packet posted online for everyone. So
We're going to talk about parking.
Man, fine, see you later.
Yeah, so Ski Touring, of course, is a renowned annual local event, highly beloved by many people here in town. So I would just like to go over a few of the highlights, mostly things that have been done different than previous years. So I have been working really closely with Mr. Council. And so things that you will find this year that have not been present in previous years is, coincidentally enough, the first one I want to talk about is the parking plan. I've worked together with Mr. Council to put together a parking plan, and I know Mr. Council has worked with many local entities creating this parking plan and map. So if you do want to take a look at that, that is on page 134 of your packet, and then the map is on 135 of your packet. I have also been working with the Office of Emergency Management at the county, as well as all of our local law enforcement, sheriffs, and police department. And we did put together an emergency action plan that is on page 136. Conversations are still happening with a lot of these entities just to make everything safe. Those are going to be ongoing conversations until after the end of the event, honestly. And then also another highlight that is a little bit different this year, I have been working really closely with CDOT for these extended closures of what is technically Highway 25 CDOT property. So I have worked with numerous people in CDOT to make sure that we have our special event permit through the state. So the city of Leadville was the applicant for that special event permit, and that is starting on 1/39. So as of right now, that is a fully executed permit. CDOT is aware. It's just another process we need to do. So I do see that Mr. Council is there, so I will open it up to council if you have any questions for us.
Any questions for staff or the applicant?
We'll let the
Is
applicant
trash
present first,
management
yeah.
different this year than it was last year? We had somebody comment about that earlier tonight.
Sorry, did you say?
Trash.
Oh, trash net, I thought you said trash. Been working with the city street department, as well as some of the local business owners. I'm not gonna say that I have a silver bullet, for trash management as the event organizer. Hearing that C4 wants to charge us $9,000 for zero waste, mitigation, when I say like, this year, perfect example, like, we don't make any trash. Right, the Lions Brat tent unfortunately has folded. Maybe they'll come back in future years. We've subbed in with some food trucks. So if you want to count the aluminum foil or maybe a paper tray or two or a couple of cans of soda, we don't really make any trash. That said, obviously, we're concerned with the overall look of our historic Harrison Avenue for the event. You know, I wish I could say I have exactly the plan dialed, but right now talking with Michael Irwin, we've got 10 blue barrels. Also talking obviously with Tony. I think the plan softly right now is let's set those things out next to the trash cans, call it from 7th to 5th Street. I think 10 is enough. If it helps offload what those trash cans receive and helps them last until city can come on Saturday morning and Sunday morning to peel. We've stepped in the past, right? We get snow on that weekend and Tony calls me and says, Duff, we forgot about the trash cans. Like, don't sweat it. I'll find some trash bags and some businesses, get a small crack commando unit together and some sleds, and we pull that stuff around and figure it out. Another thing that remains on my agenda for future years improvements, I'm all ears, but guys, it comes down to dollars and cents. We cannot afford to pay for zero waste management for an event that doesn't create any waste. And I don't want to push it all back on the city either and say, hey, no, this is your city, this is our event. I'd love to see in the future our community have a greater recycling presence on Harrison Avenue 365 throughout the whole summer months, right? Like plenty of other communities that we see. And if we're talking about parking that way, well, let's talk about trash management that way too. So we're going to try. We're going to try something good old fashioned homegrown efforts. We're talking with Smokey at Community Threads on maybe it requires some type of a business sponsorship program, right? Or where's the Leadville Main Street program in this? I think that there are other organizations that can help manage for 2 days, right? 2 sweeps of the avenue to clean that stuff up. This year, I think the best I'm going to be able to do is put some blue containers. We'll try to airbrush onto them, or make signs that say recycling, cans, glass, plastic, and dual effort. I can't say I have a program in place for like who's sorting all of that stuff once it comes back in, but that's about as close as we are right now. Yeah. Other questions?
Last year, we ended up having quite a few dogs on the avenue during the event. You gonna change anything from what we did last year with the signs that we did have?
Yeah, we got it on the poster, we got it on the website, we got it on social media. There are always a handful throughout these 10 years I've been organizing the event. I think of a family. I don't remember who the chief was here then. And it doesn't really matter because he was great, just like every other one has been. I had to meet him at, it was the outlaw Ken Chavez. And had to meet him at, he's the guy who started the cowboy hats, what we call him the outlaw. And met him at the Elks and said, look, man, do you mind? Can I take the lead on this? Will you get my back? This is obviously a mother and her son, severely autistic, that has a Labradoodle. And so we decided that, hey, this special needs child and this obvious service animal, let's see if we can't have you guys hang up by the visitor center. They don't want to be around the action. right? And the reason that we say no dogs is we don't want a dog like my dumb lab. I have a 9-year-old Labrador Retriever, and he loves horses, but too much, you know? We don't want them running out on the track, getting loose off leash and startling a horse that then causes an accident, right? All these riders all have their own, their own ranch dogs. Hell, half of them are out in their trailers out at the fairgrounds after the events. You know, so it's a precautionary, we use, the utmost discretion. If it is someone with a service animal, that animal gets the same rights as the tender of it per the Americans with Disabilities Act. So it's a fine line. Service animal, I'm comfortable to ask, you know, what specific task is that animal trained to perform? Right? You can ask that. And if it's an emotional support, like, I'm sorry, but that's not something that constitutes service animal. And if you don't like my message, I'm happy to phone up one of our police officers, community service officers, come over and talk about it further. Right? So yeah, if you see him, I think the best thing, politely let them know why. If they don't want to cooperate, then call somebody who carries a gun. Simple as that. And they'll tell them the same thing.
Thank you. Circling back to trash, from the city perspective, staff team, is there any adjustments that we can make this year to? help with that?
So I did talk to Tony about that, and he's been working with the council on that. We'll have people out every day. Then maybe even twice a day to empty the trash.
I think last year it was only late Saturday night that ended up piling up. Other than that, it wasn't.
Yeah, it somehow
Late
stays
Saturday
relatively
night.
peaceful, but last year, at the end of it Saturday, we were taking extra bags.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Scala showed up with the MGD minivan to throw bags of trash in because both the dumpsters were getting full.
Right.
You know, last year had a couple of those learning lessons, like, whoa. If it's gonna, and we're trying to plan for that size. I wish I could tell you how big is it gonna be this year, Duff? You know, I don't know. We don't have snow yet. Right?
Yeah.
Always asking questions about snow yet.
Yeah, I think that was the issue, you know, we kind of came
Not
back,
much we can
well,
do.
if we may come up, but you know, one of the issues we had last year was like, wow, this is so huge. We have these pressure points, and we don't know if we're gonna have these same pressure points this year because we actually don't know if it's going to be the same amount of people who show up, but we'll plan for hopefully, you know, that amount of people and then remains.
I think we need to, I mean.
Yeah, we'd be remiss not to plan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we are planning for
Yeah.
a replication of last year. I don't know that we can handle much more. The weather is going to dictate a ton of that. If it's really nice again, get ready. It's happening again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it is outside right now, maybe not quite so much. Those who have booked their lodging and all the other loyalists are still gonna come, but you know, 20%, I think kind of factors on that weather piece. Colorado Springs is not gonna make the same drive as they did last year if we don't have weather that's conducive for it. It'll be more local, Summit County, Eagle County, so forth.
Duffy, I really appreciate the thought you put into the parking and the trash. I don't think it's quite fair to say that you don't generate any trash when you throw an event that brings 12,000 people to town.
Yeah, I guess more the point is
But I
that,
get your point.
yeah, we don't produce any trash.
I see
But
that.
somehow,
but
Cisco, you're right.
We
Seriously,
do
there's
need
a
to
lot of aluminum
collaborate.
in those
Yeah.
garbage cans
Yeah.
that we don't sell on the avenue.
I don't know if it's too late this year, but I would really love to move to a point where maybe the city could pay C4 to do zero waste. I mean, I think it's,
And not even zero waste, not even, you know, like.
if they can though, that'd be sweet.
Sure.
I mean, our landfill is filling up and like, we don't have a good plan. So I think the more waste we can divert from our landfill is great.
Well, and that fits into those recycling spots that it sure has to have some.
I mean, and yeah, and ski touring is such a boon to our community in so many ways. It's awesome. I feel like there's a way we could pitch it and collaborate on making it a responsible event. I don't, is it too late this year for us to consider something like supporting C4?
Yeah, I mean, I think from C4's planning, we don't have $9,000.
I bet we do.
Well, you know,
Final cost is $9,000 from the city of Leadville, you know, and I'm sorry, guys, I tried applying to the Lake County Community Fund as well as our Board of County Commissioners, and even said verbatim in the meeting, like, can you force C4 to provide us with some basic services? And I didn't get a yes. to any of
Well,
those entities.
And they have costs, so I don't think we should expect them to do that kind of thing for free, but I just think if we really circled up as a community, we could probably find a way that's just win-win-win.
Partnership.
And I think it'd be great to maybe set that as a goal for next year if we can't for this year. Cause I think it's in everyone's interest to like manage our
Totally.
waste
The
response.
feel-good factor alone is worth it.
Yeah.
And you talk about our sense of community, and we're trying to put messaging out this year about, hey, respect town. But we don't even have recycling containers anywhere on our main street in this town.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's possible to rent mobile recycling trailers that could be rented for a weekend, just like any other kind of waste container, but specifically mobile recycling spots where you could do, 4 of them, 2 on each side, scattered around, would go a long way toward eliminating waste and helping us recycle.
Yeah, I like that idea. Even the plastic cans,
Right.
dumpster size, that then there's small crew. That's what we're missing. Missing
Something on a
SOS
trailer that's long enough
volunteers.
to actually use and could be visible and actually be part of a.
Yep. The Main Street program solicits volunteers to help manage those cans. Like, you guys focus on the recycling side of things and let the city of Leadville focus on the trash side of things. That's where Smokey's been talking about, like business ambassadors. Go through your business. You're obviously getting rid of your own trash. Can you handle it? Right? We're talking maybe a bag a day, 2 bags of trash, and putting it on our.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to say, as somebody who's worked zero waste quite a bit for C4.
Yeah.
There is massive education in terms of recycling. People don't understand recycling. They put dirty diapers into recycling, and C4's events, they stand there and you take it and you put it in the right place.
I've done it for Lifetime several years.
Yeah, so it's really like, if you're talking about putting out, any of these communities who have these cans out and stuff,
They still get
That's-
contaminated.
they have to have somebody who is going to spend their time
That's the hardest
sorting
part.
the
Yeah,
cans.
that's the hardest part.
So, whoever's dealing with waste around the city, are they gonna be able to add sorting the recycling? So that's where that stuff, and
Yeah.
it's why like having a C4 there, they're gonna do that. That's part of what that
Oh, yeah,
policy
price
is,
paid,
is
value get.
they
Don't
are-
misunderstand that the value isn't there. I couldn't fathom spending
No,
nearly
I
$9,000. And I
know,
wouldn't
I know.
encourage the city of Leadville to
Yeah.
spend $9,000 for zero waste mitigation when all we need right now is just a little bit of glass, plastic, and aluminum recycling. You probably want to run this thing.
Well, the plastic is questionable, so.
Whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. I don't know where you go from nothing to zero waste.
Sounds like
I would love to
maybe a
see.
bigger convo.
Yeah,
for-
bigger
for next
conversation,
year,
but,
any efforts this year are appreciated on the cities and the event side. Any other questions or topics of discussion?
Snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start the snow dance.
Yeah, so I was meeting with the CMC events management class, all 4 of them. We'll take all the volunteers we can get on Friday to help us build the track, and on Sunday to help us strike the track. It's a smaller class size, and they're gonna need some help from me and some of my friends for the Cloud City Rail Jam that we always do in retribution to them. I was quoted, 30-40% that you guys see at the bottom of Dutch Henry right now with the snow gun sitting on top of it. And tomorrow at 10:30, at least the plan, like they're all showing up there. But 10:30 tomorrow, that gun's going back on, and we're not turning it off until we got our haul. 60 hours is what Jason Gousas, professor of ski area operations, was saying. My response was like, oh yeah, what could possibly break? Running it for 60 hours. So the more we blow, the more it'll snow. We all know that. So get ready for some heavy snow the next 48 hours. But I think I'm continuing forward with the mentality until somebody else tells me different, like the show will go on. There will be snow. We will do it. Our goal is to make it look exactly the same as it has every other year. It has to.
When you said 4, do you mean 4 students or 4 classes of students?
4 students.
4
There are
students.
4 students in the events management class at the CMC. There are 2.
What is your
It's 8
class?
to 12.
Oh.
Yeah. And I don't know that there's any pestilence or signs in the universe telling us. It's just one of those years.
Tricky
Like no
industry to
snow,
get
no
into.
students, heads are falling off.
How many weeks that are?
2 from Friday,
All right.
17 days. If you go on our website, we've got a counter, like, thanks, Talus, that's just what I didn't need. 17 days and however many hours it is until Friday night registration.
Thanks for keeping it up.
Yeah, thank you guys. You're huge supporters of this. I don't ever mean to come in here and like talk all big or anything like that. I mean, every single person in this room and on web call has in some way, shape or form contributed to this. And there's no way that this would happen without you. So thank all of you for your continued support towards this. I did talk with Alan Cranbier, who's the new Alan Club from CDOT. He said, hey, you know, just on a, we never missed it. Last year we missed it at 6 p.m. Said, could we please go 8? Just on a precautionary, so that I don't know if there is an oversized load of something important that is going to be sitting south or north of town waiting for the detour to open back up. They're not overpromised and underdelivered, but in fact the opposite. We should still be able to get it done by 6, but is it okay if our permit goes till 8? And he said, yeah, no problem. Right, so that'll be slight change for this. I just think if a loader, if something breaks down on the avenue, I haven't seen it yet, but there are things out of our control that could push that.
That's Sunday night you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Our goal is still to have the avenue open by 6 p.m. How many people in this room know a guy named Norm Ryder? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's shaking their hands. Yeah. Well, guess what? I know who he is now too. And he forced me to go up to the Fat Bike Worlds and check out all of his friends' quasi-military equipment and stuff. And I was like, hey, cool, right? Cool. Let's keep it simple. And once again, like, no money. Do you guys want to do this to gain experimental experience towards being able to pitch it to our United States Armed Forces for use in remote mountainous areas with a huge influx and need for electricity? I'm like, we got the announcer stand. It's about it. And then see them plugged into food trucks. And so with no rock tent this year, I think that Shyla's going to take lowbrow truck in her former visitor center parking lot. Like, hey, whatever, it's on the avenue, it's close enough. We'll put the other 3, Sabor Colombiano, El Mexicano, the Taco Bus, and Hothead's Chicken on East and West 6th Streets. And instead of them running their generators, we'll plop some of those. Anybody go see that stuff at Fat Bike Worlds? Yeah. Sentient, all these cool names.
No, can you connect those dots for me?
Yeah, so
So it's
I'll show
a
you a picture.
energy pack, so they won't be running gas generators, so it'll be a lot quieter.
And those
Hear the announcers.
So Norm does like off the grid energy stuff.
So there's one plugged into the lowbrow,
Okay.
right? That's the size of it.
Solar
Doesn't make a
generators and
sound.
batteries.
I don't know how they, yeah, I was like, wow, too.
So it's a big
These
battery.
things.
With the
Now, aren't they also
inverter.
gonna help with
Yeah,
communications
yeah.
this year as well?
I don't think that's gonna work. Can everybody
Yeah, you can see it.
kind of see it there? It's like it looks like a generator.
Yeah, we can see it.
Military technology that's just plugged in and it doesn't make any noise.
Oh,
Yeah, and they were talking about, well, don't you want to have these things like up and down the avenue for people needing to charge their cell phones? Like, no, because actually, you know, picking up all those things and leaving with it. We'll have those East and West 6 and kind of left it to those guys. Like if you want to pull one next to the announcer stand and plug into there instead of the light post that always gives us problems every year. And Tony's in the loop on that with the timer box behind here to override the lights because it's the middle of the day and so they're not on because they're on photocell, blah, 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 blah.
all right, cool.
Plan B for power, not as big a need as Wi-Fi, data, right? We were extremely stymied last year. Fans couldn't post. Look at that face meltingly good time I'm having in Leadville, Colorado. That was a huge detractor. We couldn't communicate effectively. We had radios, but like my weather wouldn't update. And I was constantly wanting to see what the temperature was, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. And so he's going to create some different networks, one for, as well as Office of Emergency Management. Like, wow, never even thought about that. Is that been hamstringing their ability? And so I'm not a techie guy at all, so I'll just say it's a Starlink-like service. 3 locations, the toy store, Galena, and the visitor center will be kind of redundant, well more than we should need for coverage. Start, middle, end of the track to provide service for those in attendance, network for spectators, network for event management staff. so that we can communicate if we need to with one another. I don't know if there's an accident or something, as well as third network for the Office of Emergency Management type services.
And that network is separate, so they can always communicate in case there's an emergency. It's a really cool system.
And
Yeah.
Norm setting this up?
Yeah, let's say norms at the time. Sorry, let me response stream. Electricity.
Yeah.
So Watch Outliers will provide free communication enclaves with partner high velocity decisions. Talk about the three networks, go sure to this. Watch Outliers partnered with Sentient. So high velocity decisions is Wi-Fi. And Sentient Industries is electricity, batteries. Yeah, I think that's even simpler.
Okay.
You know, they had mentioned it'd be great if we could request $10,000 to offset our vendors' travel and service costs. It's like, absolutely not. You know, you can request it at city council. I'm not gonna request $10,000 for their travel. And I told them that from the very beginning, and it would be great. I don't want to rely on this too much because then we're gonna have to pay for it next year, but let's see if it works first and we'll go from there. And then maybe just, Andrew, kudos to you. Thank you very much for your guidance, your help towards some of these things, guys, like parking plan, like here it is, get here early, park close. No, we need more than that stuff. As well as just trying to, I'm not a big fan of creating paper. You guys have a 191 page city council packet tonight. That's crazy. My stuff starts on page 119. We're referencing each page. It's like, stop the insanity. When is enough enough? We always want to be cooperative because of how much we appreciate, but I will always try to push back a little bit. Like, are we doing this for the sake of doing it? Emergency action plan, or if we can create these things that are a one-off. I'm not a big fan of rubber stamping. Let's be honest, this event doesn't change a whole ton over the last 10 years or the last 80 years, but it's getting bigger, and I think that we should just try to be smarter about it.
Thank you. Andrew, is there anything else, any things on your radar we need to resolve before we move along?
And before you get decision, I have one or two more things.
Okay.
I would just like to say, so according to the permit that I got from CDOT, the permit does not expire until January 28th of 2027. So I think it's just actually the standard 1 year for right-of-way work for CDOT, but I was trying to look for an expiration date.
It's not every month.
Yeah, Cranberry told me, and Alan Club kind of same, they seemed like they weren't familiar with this permit. They were familiar with the event and how we did it and the detour and when it opened back up, but they were kind of scratching heads. I said, I have no idea. Like, I don't think we've ever got an actual permit application for this stuff. Like, talk to Andrew on that. In case you get some kind of lights looks from those guys, I think that's why they've never maybe seen what things that you're tackling this year. So kudos.
Yes, absolutely. My contact has been Heidi Gorvachek, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And she has been very knowledgeable for both the CDOT side, and she said she's attended, I think she said 6 or 7 ski touring events herself here in Leadville.
It's divorcing. She's a good friend.
Oh, sorry.
Perfect.
Really, yeah. So she's been my contact, and I have a lot of email correspondence with her detailing a lot of sort of shorthanding what this permit is, because I did have quite a few meetings going over this before I signed anything on behalf of the city. So
cool.
Okay, got a couple more things, Duffy?
Yeah, just some of the conditions that were in our permit, the 20-foot egress, right? That's, we're talking on the west side of where the snow stops and you got room so that a fire truck can always get through there. We're talking, that's like 10. A standard parking space is 9 feet wide, so like 10, 11 feet. My 2004 Tundra, without the 4-wheel drive, pulling a trailer, makes it through that space. A fire truck with dualies, if imagine in practical planet Earth, it had to get out of town quick would be, I think, number one scenario. Out the station, bam, down the egress to deal with the scenario south of town. We could clear that egress, moment's notice, awaiting, fire truck go through, bang, we're done. Or if they had to get, I don't know, up west 7th, 6th, 5th to get to something in between the block that they couldn't get up one of those side streets, you know, like practically every year. I'd meet with Boyle out there, make sure like, is this enough? If not, we bring a plow through and push it back. Sometimes the snow tends to sneak into it a bit, but we're talking easily drive overable snow. But it's not 20 feet. If we go 20 feet, I can't do the track. It's too narrow. So it's like 10, 11, enough that the fire apparatus trucks can make it down the egress. Just for clarity on that.
Well, let's dig into that for a sec, because that's what's in the permit. How do we reconcile that?
I'll just speak to this quickly, and then I'll turn it over to Andrew, and we also have Chief Daly on the call. That comment came directly from Fire Marshal Boyle last year, and he asked us to add that as a condition of approval of the permit, so it's a relatively recent addition. I can't speak to what happens on site. Maybe I'll turn it over to Andrew, and maybe if Chief Daly wants to speak to that.
No, that's exactly correct. So all of the fire comments, I had a meeting with Chief Daly and Lori Ty, and I provided them with the comments Boyle gave me last year, and we went over them briefly and decided to put the same comments Boyle said last year into this permit. So as far as I know, I did not write that 20-foot egress. I do not know any sort of code for the correct width of a fire egress. So yeah, I will turn it over to the expertise of my fellow staff.
Yeah. Chief, if you're on there, what do you say on this? Because we've never done 20.
So fire code requires 26 feet. That's without parking. So you said down Harrison Avenue is 10 feet, and that's what has been the norm every single year, correct?
Yeah, last 10 years.
Yes. I will say this. What's that?
I say it's always big enough. We always make it big enough for your biggest truck to fit. You know, and subject to Boyle would come out, by all means, come out on Friday. If we're getting too skinny and we gotta hike it back, or it doesn't look right, we'll make it as big as need. I know the numbers. I know I can't do. I've never done 20 feet. I can't do 20. Track would be too skinny.
Yeah, it would. I believe it would be, and I don't know why Chief Boyle made that recommendation without talking to him about that. I'm most definitely happy to amend it if we need to do that 10 feet that you've always done, Duffy, because we've never had an issue getting down the avenue. We always take, the side streets. We get down as quick as possible. And if we need to, like in a medical situation, we could take a Type 6 engine, which is a slower or smaller piece of equipment for medical response.
Okay. Yeah, in my 10 years, we've never had Leadville Lake County Fire Department apparatus on Harrison Avenue. There's 10 years there hasn't been a need to use the egress. It's always been there in theory. And again, scenario one is we need to blast south of town. We can't go around. We don't have time. Go, clear. Scenario two is there's some type of an incident at tree line, right? That's in the middle of the block that they got to get to that. And I take safety very seriously in this. I've worked very closely with both Chief and Boyle in the past. I feel like the amount of egress that we provide has been adequate.
I do have one question on that, and that is, do you have a loader on standby throughout the event in order to be able to move snow just in case we do need to get on Harrison Avenue in the event of a fire of some kind?
Yeah, we do, Chief. It's stationed always just on the north side of the first mountain bank so that we can plug it in case it gets cold. We learned that years ago. That is what we call the the haul loader, God fearing if we were to have an incident on the track that required that a horse be put down and then needed to be removed from the track. That's why we have the loader there. It's pretty standard issue equipment for a rodeo, but certainly could be used. The keys are accessible to anyone qualified to operate that piece of machine, very easily accessible. And yeah, it sits at First Mountain Bank parking lot.
Okay, that's good information to know, and I'll pass that along to everybody so that we know that that is an asset for us if we need to call it as a resource. Thank you.
We used it once to pull the Shamrock guy out of the track because he thought he could cross it in the morning making deliveries and he got stuck. That's the only time I've seen it.
So how should we reconcile the egress thing? Do we, just in the motion, should we list that as an amendment?
Yes, exactly. So in other words, on page 1.1 of your packet, you have the suggested motion. And so when you conclude that motion, you say with the attached findings and conditions, you get to simply add comma with the amendment to condition number 2, changing the egress requirement to 10 feet from 20 feet.
Okay.
As acceptable by like the Lake County Fire Department. You know, I want to make sure they are okay with whatever we leave them before we leave them.
I think it's where we're hearing right now is it's okay with them. We,
Okay,
I don't know if it's necessary or you council could add that additional language.
okay. Great. And yeah, you had some other things?
Just petty stuff like, hey, of course, I'll go and check. I don't want to be responsible for the food vendors. The food vendors are not a part of the Leadville Ski Joring event. They are brought in to appease spectators, obviously generate opportunity for a couple more businesses and create more sales tax dollars, but we don't serve booze, we don't serve food. The Lions Brought Temple's their own thing, those guys their own thing. So when it says things like all food vendor, tent, canopy, shut, curtain operable fire extinguisher, like, well, don't you guys require that for a city business permit? Allie, do you know, do they have to have a fire extinguisher regardless of where they're operating in the city as is?
This comment also came directly from Fire Marshal Boyle last year. So it's copy and paste from his.
Yeah, it couldn't have been from last year because we didn't have any food trucks last
And
year.
that is part of a food truck's annual permit.
Yeah, like I'm totally fine to go and make sure that the 3 or even 4 lowbrow over here, like, all right, is your propane secure? All right, do you have a fire extinguisher? If not, chief, I'll be coming to the fire department, seeing if we have a couple that they could borrow or whatever we need to do. But you understand my point? Like, I cannot be responsible for the business practices of these food trucks merely because they're down on the avenue here in the city of Leadville during a power event.
Yeah, how do we,
Totally fine to be on board and help. I just don't want to be responsible. I know that sounds childish, but I don't want to be responsible for things outside of my control.
is that in the scope of the permit
It's in the condition. It
applicant,
is,
or can you clarify?
We're specifically talking about condition approval number 4. And I'll quickly speak on this and then turn it over to Andrew, but I believe generally how we've done this is if mobile food vendors are part of the event, then and so they do not have to go through a separate temporary use permit process. We've allowed them to be incorporated into the temporary use permit for simplicity's sake. But that does put responsibility on the event coordinator. If we were to separate that out, then we would just need to go through a separate temporary use permit process with them individually, where we just put that condition of approval to address the life safety concerns.
I'm sorry for my naivety, but if they apply for a city of Leadville business license, does that not allow them to operate within the city limits however they want, subject to the guidelines and whatever you guys have in place?
Well, there's the temporary use permit process is what actually controls this kind of item.
But not for a food truck operating with a city of Leadville business license. Just because they're on Sixth Street, they're in our.
Their licenses are location specific. So if they move locations, they need a different permit, right? So that's why this is different. Is that?
Yeah, in other words, this type of item covered by a temporary use permit.
If I may, yes, typically a temporary use permit is required for all businesses that operate within the public right of way. or even private property that is not the primary use. So you did see that with like the Mountain Goat TUP at the beginning of the year. They went through their own temporary use process, though they also did have to have a business license to sell stuff. The location of their property, because it is, I'm sure Chapin can speak more on this if there needs to be clarification, but because these food vendors are operating within the right of way, not on private property used for food service, they would typically need a temporary use permit. So these conditions are included with this temporary use permit because instead of going to those individual food vendors, it is included with this event.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to do it, but I will. I don't want to be responsible for more things with this event. And thank you for, I don't mean to be like argumentative, even close to at all. This is my first time having food trucks on the avenue.
Go ahead,
And I
Joe.
want to learn so we can learn how to do it better.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
In this case, to complete your permit, you only have 2 requirements of the 3 or 4 food trucks, right?
Yeah.
So let's make sure that the propane tanks are secured
Done.
after the fire
Yeah.
extinguisher.
Done. But it's
Keep it in the permit.
Yep, practically all good. It was just more, I wanted like, wait, hang on, every year.
That makes
do
sense,
something
and
new.
maybe that's something that you do as an agreement with the food truck for next year.
Maybe, but you guys all know this real easy scenario, right? Like the harder you make it on some of these food truck owners to jump through the fiery hoops of our God blessed community, the less likely I'm gonna have spectators being able to get tacos faster. Right. And then that's gonna overwhelm the restaurants. The whole reason I'm doing food trucks is because I knew the Brock tent was kind of waffling and glad that we had this plan B in place. Like I surveyed everyone, every single food truck operator in Leadville and Twin Lakes. And I'm even back at like Kachina guy, Carlos, like, come on, man, you could make a month's worth of money in 2 days and it could be fun. I don't know. Dude.
Yeah, go ahead, Hillary.
Hi, thanks. I was just gonna suggest that, I think it's a totally valid comment that if this permit applicant doesn't want to be responsible for other businesses, that the food trucks could have to get their own temporary use permits. I think there's still time. I don't want to throw a wrench in things, but I do agree it's not fair to make this applicant responsible for other businesses. Unless unless he agrees to that and it doesn't.
He agrees, he reluctantly agrees.
Grudgingly, but.
14 hours and 37 minutes away. And then, right, Joey, thank you. To Joey's point, can we? Yes. Do I want to? Just trying to set tone where,
Sure.
Otherwise I'm gonna turn into
Maybe,
something I never wanted to turn into.
Maybe
with
bigger
this.
picture down the road, we could look at ways in our code to allow for easier types of kind of movement for the mobile vendors or something. I don't know, but it seems like
Because these are requirements that
We
are
got-
standard anyway, but.
we got the laws we got now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And city's different than county, right? Like there are a lot of fat bikes.
yeah.
Whatever you guys need to do things properly, I will always play nice in the sandbox. But I will occasionally push back just to make sure, are we sure we need to do this?
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna come take our birthday away if the food truck's not selling it there. They're selling it there for 2 days.
yeah.
Kind of stuff. And is it good? The litmus test, right? Is it good for the community? Yeah. Is it gonna make us sales tax dollars? Yeah. Hoo-ah. I'm in.
Okay, what else?
I'll make one quick comment on food trucks in particular. Their initial inspection has to be done by at least Inspector 1 level, and then they get their certification. And now there's a law in the state of Colorado where you can go from county to county if you register your food truck. So that way, that paperwork is already done. And maybe that's the paperwork that those food trucks in the future can just give the city, because that means that they have met all the code requirements. And it shows that they are in compliant so that there doesn't need to be any kind of inspection. Although in the future, I hope to have a part-time inspector in order to be able to help out with all of these functions so that it's not put on, Duffy or anybody else, like like Boom Days, for instance, all of those vendors, right? We want to be able to take care of those and make sure that those are safe with a part-time inspector. They can do those that don't need to be certified to an inspector level. So that's in the future, but the food trucks themselves, there's registry with those now.
Yeah, and Chief, if you or any of your staff, again, this is the first time we're gonna be doing food trucks on East and West Sixth. You know, merge tents over on East Sixth, we'll tuck, I think, food truck up behind. We should have an egress down the middle of that road at least as big, right? Again, it terminates at the Snow on Harrison on the east side. West side, it comes right into the egress. I'm gonna structure things in a fashion that they can be quickly disassembled. Again, if the specific need is access to Harrison and East and West Six, does that work for you?
It does.
Okay.
Well,
Not
next.
overcomplicate. I don't know what it's gonna look like yet. We'll figure it out. We'll make sure it's safe.
Nice.
So yeah, that Friday, March 6th, if you got some staff around during the day while we're out, and anybody wants to come out and join us for 5-10 minutes and give a quick walk and debrief on East and West Six, I'm all game.
Sounds good.
And I think that's it, guys. We could talk about this all night. It's been long enough.
Okay, any other thoughts or questions? I'd entertain a motion with an amendment.
Public comment?
Sure. 2 minutes.
One, two. Oh, okay, it's already in there. I'm against ski joining. There have been acts of animal cruelty promulgated against me personally by city decisions. By reporting of the Herald Democrat. If you look on the website, you'll see Stephen Prestash, is charged with animal cruelty, but the Herald Democrat reported it as treating the animals viciously. I'm gonna get to this point that I have to get to, but it was an act of animal cruelty upon me that was unreasonable. 18-9-202 cruelty, aggravated cruelty to animals. Otherwise mistreats or neglects an animal. So there's a court case from 1896 that says the shooting of wild animals in the forest and fishing in streams do not come within the section. That same court case also says it applies to killing doves released from traps and that for sport. The killing of doves as they are released from a trap merely to improve skill and marksmanship or for sport and amusement, though without specific intent to inflict pain or torture is within this section applies to that. So we had a horse that broke its leg a couple of years ago. That was an act of animal cruelty. Last year, I spent 3 hours waiting on East 8th Street for police response. Chief of the police didn't talk about this when he was up here talking about ski journeying last year. No one responded to that until the very end. That dog almost died in that car. 5 calls were made to the dispatcher. So now we're saying dogs cannot be allowed on the avenue. People will be locking them in their car, and if the same weather conditions were there like it was last year, of a clear, cloudless day, warm day, sunny out, there's going to be dogs suffering in their cars. And this is something that we're promulgating.
Thanks, Steve. That's
We acted, my time's up, 3 minutes up.
Yeah, you got a little extra even. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the consideration. Anyone else want to make public comment? Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion on the TUP.
Edwards moves the city council approve the temporary use permit application for Leadville Ski Joy 2026 with the attached findings and conditions. With the change to condition number 2, that the event is to ensure that they comply with a 10-foot egress corridor emergency access throughout the duration of the event with the permission of Lake County Fire and Rescue.
Carrie seconds.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gray? Councilmember Edwards?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Carey?
Yes.
Councilmember Dolan? Mayor Pro Tem Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Gray?
Yes.
Alrighty, thank you, everybody. Thanks for the good conversation. Duffy, thanks for being with us tonight.
Yeah.
Good luck. I'm sure it's a stressful season for you.
Well, find ways to get involved. Tell your friends, whether it's trash or it's helping at the merch tent or other organizations that we can figure out to get involved and get kids involved with this stuff. A little over 2 weeks.
Okay.
Giddy up. I'll see you out there soon.
Thanks, Duffy.
Yeah, thank you. Good time.
All right, moving on to agenda item 10B. First reading of ordinance number 2, series of 2026, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Leadville adopting by reference the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code, providing penalties for violations thereof and establishing a new chapter 15.48 of the Leadville Municipal Code to reflect the same.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be presenting this ordinance. This ordinance, if adopted, would establish a new chapter within Title 15 of the city's code, which is the city's building code, which is mostly, for the most part, administered by the Lake County Building Department, or our IGA Building Department. In your packet, I have included on page, starts at page 154, a cover memo, which explains really both the written elements and the map that are the two components of this legislation. I've also, and you have also received just in the past couple hours, a memo from the city attorney. If you have any interest in reviewing that, to provide some background information on Senate Bill 2025-142, which was the Senate bill passed by the state of Colorado that requires municipalities to adopt and comply with the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code by April of this year. So passing this ordinance tonight will keep us on schedule to comply with that state statute. But you can review that city attorney memo if you're interested in looking background on that Senate bill. But the memo in your packet essentially explains the written elements, which include the scope or the applicability of this ordinance, any exemptions or exceptions, and there are some that apply. The requirements, including like structure hardening and the site and area requirements like defensible space, and also the enforcement elements of this. And on the screen, I have the map, and I'll narrate this in a second. But just getting into a couple of the highlights here. The map that's on the screen is available for online viewing. It's the entire state of Colorado map. This is just a zoomed in excerpt of that map as it applies to our city extents, and I have overlaid or in white our city boundary onto that map, as well as our historic district for reference. And I should note, I'm just presenting this on behalf of the fire department, and Chief Daly is here tonight also answering questions, as well as our city attorney. But getting into the applicability, so this ordinance will affect new construction, additions of 500 square feet or more, and then roofs and exterior wall replacements of 25% or more. The exceptions to this ordinance include anything on that map that is at this time that is not designated with the color orange, red, or yellow. Historic structures, the interior of structures, maintenance to structures, so you can think like painting, staining, replacing a piece of siding or two. And also, you can generally think of shed. Those are one-story detached structures that do not include habitable space and that are at least 10 feet away from other structures. In terms of the requirements, you can generally separate this into two categories: structure hardening, and then really the site stuff, which is mostly defensible space. In terms of structure hardening, because on the map right now the state of Colorado is not designating anything within the city limits as our lowest classification of fire intensity, which would be yellow on that map. We just have 6 areas on the periphery that are designated as moderate, or they're shown as orange. And those areas would be subject to Class 2 structure hardening requirements, which generally means the roof, venting and screening, and the fire resistance capability of the siding. And then, if we were class 1, I'm sorry, so if anything on that map was designated as yellow, those areas would just be class 1, which would mean just be the roof and things like downspouts and venting. But those 6 areas on the periphery of the city will be subject to the class 2 requirements. The site and area requirements do apply for those areas in orange. Those are, generally speaking, those are going to be defensible space requirements with some additional requirements for signage and visibility for emergency responders to respond. In terms of enforcement, the Lake County Building Department will be enforcing this come July, or come June 17th, which is 3 months from adoption of this ordinance, and that'll be in coordination with the fire department. And there's a ground trooping option where this map is really developed at I think a pretty large resolution, like a 25 hectare resolution, and it's offset. What's shown in orange is offset from those high hazard areas that are designated in red. And there is an option for the fire department and for the building department to do some ground truthing when they are on the ground conducting inspections for properties that are clearly should be exempt from the requirements of class 2. In the future, we will most likely come back with the fire department will conduct some additional analysis, and we may seek to amend this map in the future. If we did that in the future, we would most likely pursue some kind of exemption for historic structures or our historic district at large. That's kind of complicated. We're not going to do that. In terms of process, just to let you know how this got to you tonight, after this was passed by the state last year, the Lake County convened their board of review, and it's the same board that makes recommendations to the building code, which will also be coming to you later this year. And then the several meetings of the board of review, and the board of review has made a formal recommendation to you to adopt this. Lake County, this was in front of BOCC today. Last thing I'll note on just in terms of administration of this, we will need to review with Lake County whether or not we should amend our intergovernmental agreement, our IGA, to administer building department services to see if we should amend that IGA or do a new IGA for administration of this. With that, staff does recommend adoption of this ordinance on first reading, and you also have, as I mentioned, you also have a recommendation from the board of review from Lake County. I would welcome the opportunity to turn it over to Chief Daly or the city attorney if they have any additional comments.
Let's do it. Go ahead, Chief, or Hillary, if you'd like.
I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
The fire commission did a really good job on this, pertaining to IWIC, which is the International Wildland Urban Interface Code. I believe that one is a lot more restrictive than what the state and the fire commission came up with. So I just wanted to make that point tonight, and the fact that this is a lot more palatable, I think, and a lot more accepted by a lot of communities based on the hard work that they did, putting this into communities all across the state of Colorado for better safety. And Chapin, great presentation on that. I don't think that I have anything more to add, well, except for maybe one thing that I just thought of, and that is within those areas within the city, if somebody comes to the city and wants to build within those areas there, they have the opportunity to try to get a waiver from the state if they'd like, if they meet certain criteria in order to be able to lower that rating during their build. But they have to meet certain criteria with the state in order to do so. Was that mentioned? I don't know if that was mentioned, Chapin.
I briefly touched on ground truthing, but you explained it in more depth. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Can I ask real quick, Chapin, just to clarify, on the north side, that's the rail yard development?
Yeah, it's approximately phase 3.
Phase 3, right.
Yeah.
And on the east side, or on the right-hand side of that map, that's the old east side going up to the mining district.
Yes.
And on the south side, on the southeast dog road, that's Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah, and,
And then the southern part of the southern corridor there, going down into String, well, as far as we go down.
didn't go here.
Yep, and then that last corner, is County Road 4 and County Road 6, is that what that is?
Yeah, so,
It's just that last section right there in the city.
yeah, you've narrated that, I think, perfectly. Rail yard phase 3 shown here.
The existing east side.
Yeah, most of the east side within city limits, south Toledo, and at least half of Brooklyn Circle.
Right.
Southern Highway 24, so that kind of portions of our light industrial area, medical office area.
And only on the south side of the highway there.
Yep. College Park.
Mm-hmm.
They get mostly vacant properties on the west side of McCleffy
Mm-hmm.
and the intersection of.
Which is right where the crosswalk is for the Mineral Belt Trail.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the intersection of County Road 4 with McCleffy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Hi, Chapin. Would this affect people in these affected areas who desire to build an ADU?
Let's see here. The ADU would be subject to the Class 2 requirements, which would happen basically Class A roofing, fire resistant siding, like a cementitious siding, double pane windows. Most of that is going to have overlap with building code requirements. That's probably, without getting into the technical material listings, that's probably as much as I should speak to without pulling the code.
It is class 2, 2-hour fire rated exterior rather than 1 hour fire rated.
I would be able to answer that. I have to look up the code.
So do we basically have to do this because the state? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like, should we do this or not? It's like.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is new construction that we're talking about. It's not like people having to go back and make
No.
changes to existing. If
New
they make,
construction or
additions,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, or exterior remodels.
Exterior remodel.
So-
So if you change the siding on your house, then the future siding you put on. would have to
Yeah, the threshold is 25%.
The same thing, if you change the roof on your existing house and you're in that area, you would have to go to the new specifications
Yes.
if it doesn't work.
Right.
Does anyone know if this will, impact folks, insurance? Like, will this lessen their insurance costs
It actually
theoretically?
does help with your insurance, yes. Just like if you mitigate your trees on a larger property south of town, there will be a time when in those areas you won't be able to get insurance unless you're meeting these requirements. That's the direction that insurance has gone.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not the expert on this. I'm sure maybe Chief Daly has more on this. What I have heard lots of different considerations on that. One is that insurance companies almost have a higher degree of resolution of your I guess the fire resistance capability of the house, because if you look at your insurance policy, it says what your exterior materials are, what your roof are, et cetera, which the state doesn't have. So that is one consideration. And I think that I've also heard that the insurance industry will be responding to this once the municipalities across the state adopt this. And so that has considerations on both sides of whether or not it affects your insurance rates or not. I
Interesting.
think there's lots of other considerations. Those are the first two to come.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Any other questions or comments? Let us entertain a motion.
You can find a motion on page 155 of your packet.
Thomas moves to adopt ordinance number 2, series of 2026, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Leadville, adopting by reference the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code, providing penalties for violations thereof, and establishing a new chapter, 15.48, of the Leadville Municipal Code to reflect the same on first reading. I further move to schedule second reading and a public hearing of this ordinance for the regular city council meeting on March 17th, 2026.
Edward seconds.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Grant, Councilmember Dolan, Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Edwards,
Yes.
Councilmember Carey,
Yes.
Mayor Green.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for the good staff report and info and discussion. Moving on to action item 10C. Resolution number 9, series of 2026, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Leadville authorizing the city administrator to execute a settlement agreement related to litigation brought against the city. So I'll pass this one to you to start, right, Lori?
Great, yes, thank you very much. So this is, page 159 of the packet. So this, is a litigation matter that was filed against the city in 2023 regarding, an access point off of, State Highway 24 at the Family Dollar business. The Family Dollar leases the property from a company called WDI. And WDI brought litigation against the city regarding the city putting in a sidewalk on that strip of land adjacent to Highway 24. It is in fact CDOT right of way. And so this is a authorization, this resolution authorized settlement of this litigation and authorizes me to sign a settlement agreement resolving the dispute that this property owner has with the city over installation of that sidewalk. I'm happy to answer questions, or our city attorney is also here as well.
Okay, so fiscal impacts to the city, there basically are none, correct? Because our insurance company will pay the settlement cost.
Correct.
Okay.
And this settlement releases us from any future liability.
Regarding this particular
Regarding this
issue,
case,
yes,
yes.
yes. From everything, always,
Right.
forever, yes. Yes, with regard to the installation of the sidewalk and whether or not the property owner wants to install a access point off there, it releases us from liability for that.
Past and future on this particular issue.
Correct, yes.
Based on the sound advice of our legal counsel, it seems wise to take that recommendation and approve this. Any other questions or comments?
Seems like the same.
Okay. Let's have a motion.
Edwards moves to approve resolution number 9, series of 2026, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Leadville approving a settlement and authorizing the city administrator to execute a settlement agreement related to litigation brought against the city.
Thomas seconds.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Carey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grant, Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Dolan, and Mayor Green.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all for that. Thanks, Hillary, for helping guide us with that. Moving on to public comments. Right on time, 10 o'clock. Go ahead, Steve.
Steve Prestash, it's right up at 10 o'clock. And 30 seconds. I always thought that one of the most clever statements made about mankind was the first Planet of the Apes movie. And we tend to group and make decisions sometimes that everyone in the group thinks it. We tend to scapegoat one character, and then we get a psychological release by taking our venom out into that character. So was the beginning of my frustration with the city and the Herald Democrat statement at my last 3 minutes. With the idea of animal cruelty, 1 minute's up. The elephant aspect of that is gaining more recognition about how elephants are cruelly trained to perform tricks for humankind. I'm disappointed that we are not looking at this rodeo aspect of this, how horses are used for sport, for us cheering on the side like gorillas or something in a movie, and they get broken legs. I'm disappointed in every council member present now that did not put some kind of condition on this conditional use permit for the ski journey, that there be some patrolling of the cars to make sure that a dog isn't locked in there that's close to dying, like I almost experienced. I wanted to smash that window in and to give that animal air, and I was a coward because I knew how you all would be blaming me for being a crazy man, and I would be going to jail for that. So I was a coward, and I was guilty of being an accessory to that animal abuse thing by not breaking that window. Our chief of police's stance on that is reprehensible. And I would like to see a condition in the future that there would be patrols of the cars, somebody doing that on a regular basis to make sure the dog isn't locked in there. Because there is that much space on the sun roof of that car that dog was in. The windows were not cracked. And for 3 hours I stood there and I made phone calls, 2 using somebody else's phone call and 3 other people calling the police. And it's horrible. So I would like to see something done with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Any other public comments online or in chambers? Okay, moving on to the mayor's report. Go ahead, Mayor.
In the interest of everyone's time, I have nothing interesting to add. The city administrator already talked about the Building Better Places conference, which dominated my week last week, and it was wonderful. But I'll go with what she already said.
Thank you. Any council reports?
I just have a very quick update on CJK Mill, and perhaps everybody's already seen the latest update. But the State of Division of Reclamation and Mine Safety received a large number of comments on the amended application, and they have decided to move toward a mine land reclamation board for a formal hearing. DRMS is continuing its technical review. They haven't completed that yet. They did identify some discrepancies with acreage included in the permit, which could affect CJK Mill's responsibility to either amend the existing permit or start a new permit. So things are still very much kind of up in the air. The state's supposed to make a decision by April 14th, but a lot of things could affect that date. The mill could request an extension, we just don't know. So ongoing saga. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other council reports? Okay. I met with Ballard King, which is the sorry, getting late tonight. They are the organization that is assessing the community center's economic viability and cost recovery. So they're partners with Anderson Mason Dale, or not partners with, but they are partnering in this project with them. So they had a kind of a focus group with me and Adam Ducharme that Lauren Barrett facilitated, so continuing to be involved with those indoor recreation and community center conversations. And I'm also the city of, or one of a few Lake County representatives on the CAST childcare task force, and that task force is pretty new, and it doesn't really have, I wouldn't say much direction yet as far as what the goal is for CAST to see what they can advocate for at a state level to help with childcare in our state, including our community. But not a lot to report there yet, except that in our next meeting, Adam Ducharme is going to present on his work in collaboration with the Child Care Coalition on kind of the need modeling and the cost modeling that Leadville has done. And so they've done some really good work, and it'll be cool to share that with other communities. And that'll, I think, help the conversation forward in general, for sure. So that's what I've got to report. Go ahead,
I
Jim.
don't have a report. I do have a question of council or the administrator, if anybody knows. I heard in passing this last week that they have identified some type of a new leak in the pipes at the middle school pool. Does anybody know anything about that?
I
There was
can
something that was
confirm that.
unknown before.
Yeah, I don't know the details of it. I can confirm that that's true. There is a leak in a pipe under the pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, good talk. Public meetings planner. Anything to say about that? Okay, sounds good.
I neglected to mention in my staff report,
Yeah.
my monthly council meeting, what I should have is that we have a joint work session next Tuesday in this room at 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
on a comprehensive plan.
Okay,
And, there's been some moving pieces, but as of today, the plan is we will be here with BOCC. I think the idea is BOCC would sit at the side table and staff, and the two planning commissions for the county and the city would essentially sit in the audience seating. And that'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. And it'll be in hybrid format.
okay, yeah, thanks, Jason. Okay. All right, well then it is 10:09 and this city council meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, Cisco. Sure, it will.
Oh, crap.
So we're gonna go to the part of it